How do you overcome fear? That's what we're talking about today on Set to Love with our guest, Joshua Abel. Here we go.
You can live a life in flow where your deepest heart's desires become reality.
You are here to contribute through your essence, fall deeper in love with your life and the journey that you are on.
Take what works, ditch the rest, and always stay set to love.
Thank you for being a part of this community. We're all designed to live in flow. So let's go.
Good morning, everyone.
Hey, good morning, ladies.
How are you?
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. That's exciting.
Happy Flow Friday. I love Fridays. I woke up this morning and I said to my boyfriend, it's Friday. It's like happy Friday. It's just so exciting. Like you made it, to the weekend.
Right? It feels like such an accomplishment.
Yes, absolutely. Well, welcome to Set to Love. Good morning, best friend. How are you?
Good. Doing great. Doing absolutely great. I was just wondering though, real quick, how's Coda doing?
Oh, he's doing so good. My son has adopted Shelley's 18-year-old Chihuahua that has no teeth. His tongue hangs out, and my son hardly puts him down. And you have to earn points to be able to hold him. He has a reward system, and it's very cute. But he's doing so good. He's living his best life over here in Evan's room. Well, Joshua, welcome to Set to Love. I'm so grateful that you're here today, and I want to just tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got to become this personal development coach.
Well, ladies, first of all, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be with you and your audience. My name's Joshua, and I am a Midwestern boy at heart. I was brought up with good values and, to treat everyone with respect. And as a kid, I had 3 sisters. My parents were married, but it was kind of a sort of a gang up on Josh type environment. At least it seemed that way, and, I experienced some emotional and some physical abuse growing up. My mom had her own issues that she had to deal with, and it seemed like I was the brunt of the escape.
Now, are you the youngest?
I'm actually a twin. I'm the oldest with my twin, and I have 2 younger sisters.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah. And, growing up, I just had a strange mentality that I was always meant to do great things. I was meant to be a master of the universe. And I watched He-Man and he was kind of my idol growing up.
Excuse me, Josh, does that mean because you were abused that you think you did that as an escape? To have this attitude of, I'm getting out of this and I'm going to do good?
That's a very interesting perspective. I absolutely believe that had a lot to do with it. I was always a very imaginative kid. I was always kind of in my own little world. And growing up, I went into acting. I was in theater, I was in films. And one of the things that I really enjoyed about that aspect of it was that I didn't have to be myself.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have to, surround myself with the reality that I had created for myself. I could escape into a different world, be someone different. And when I was 20, I actually took that idea of being an actor and moved to LA. I packed up all my stuff. I didn't know anyone out there. And, I hit the road. And, I worked in a couple of films and did some modeling and things like that. But that world out there, I was a little sheltered. I grew up in kind of a smaller town. And so to go from that to,
LA.
Millions and millions of people.
Oh, yeah. And everyone feels like out here, a lot of people are trying to play that game, trying to make it in whatever way they can. So there is this hustle and bustle and go kind of mentality.
Absolutely. And, the thing that shocked me the most was I thought I was so unique. I thought I would go out there, I would be walking to work one day, Steven Spielberg would pick me up in a limo and be like, "You're the guy," and, make me a superstar. But, go into those cattle calls that they have for casting films and whatnot. You see 100 other people who look exactly like you and who have the same ambitions as you. It's frightening.
Yeah.
And then, all those ideas that I had that I was special, I was, unique, and I was going to, create this awesome life for myself, kind of got chipped away from being out there. And,
It's disappointing when you find out what reality really is.
Isn't it though?
So did you have kind of a breakdown? What happened?
I started allowing fear to really come into my life when I moved to LA. Seeing all those people and going to calls, it was fear that had actually been playing a substantial role in my life up to that point. I just didn't realize it. That fear of being rejected primarily.
And there's a lot of rejection when you try to pursue that world. That is not a typical, you don't get rejected day after day in most jobs, right? But this is one that my daughter, she's a theater major, or was, now she's out there living in the world, but she said, you are, the life is auditioning. Like getting the part is the rarity. You become a professional auditioner and you become really good at rejection, or you don't. And so some people just cannot handle that. No. And they really take it personal.
Absolutely. And, I think that has a lot to do with, the environment that you grew up in and, or your ability to overcome that environment. And, I just wasn't equipped. I didn't equip myself, and I had no idea about personal development or anything.
And so then what happened? So did you find yourself at a dead end, or where did that lead you then?
I did. I had gotten into my first serious relationship, and he opened me up to, the party scene of the gay world in West Hollywood. And, from there, I really gravitated towards it. It was a different way to escape. And, I clung on to it, and I became a professional at it.
Found validation in that, right? And in that space. Wow. Okay.
Absolutely. And it eventually, that period of my life, specifically in alcohol, lasted for about 10 years. I would have my ups and downs, but eventually I lost everything. I allowed alcohol to consume my life completely. It was the only thing I was interested in doing, escaping and not having to face reality and fear and things like that, to the point where I had lost an 8-year relationship. He was just done with me. Lost the house that we had bought together. And I had, at the time, my dream job. I was working as a digital marketing professional in a travel company. And, they were sending me all over the world on luxury cruises and things like that. And I allowed that part of my life, that dark part of my life, to destroy that.
Did you feel like you were in control when you were there? I mean, I've known some friends that have gone through drug addiction or alcoholism or whatever. And it's like, I think when you're there, you think you're in control, but you're not.
Absolutely. I felt like I was in control. I could see the pieces falling around me. But upstairs in my mental game, I'm like, I got this. Because it's funny, because I didn't think anyone else knew. I thought I was so good at hiding it that, and I think that's where the control aspect, that feeling of control, came in. believing that no one else knew what was going on.
Wow.
Of course, everyone else knew. People would point it out to me almost on a daily basis, but I kept playing that confidence in what I was doing in my head to the point where I believed it.
Joshua, I have to ask you, if we were to go back now, though, was part of the issue with your mom not accepting who you were? And so then you weren't able to like be your authentic self for being gay and, you know, who you are as a person? I mean, I know Eva has a gay son and he came to his mom and, you know, it was just like nothing. It was like, of course, I know that's who you are. And, you know, he's thriving and loves who he is and just expresses himself. So I'm just wondering, for those people that may happen to them, which is, it's not a big deal. People make it a big deal. But how do you think that contributed to maybe how you felt like you weren't enough or couldn't? This is a hard question, but I think it's so important because it's beyond fear to me, because you were born who you're supposed to be. And then if that's not accepted, like, what do you do? So understandably so to see you where you went.
That's actually a great question. You know, I knew in early high school that I was different, but the community that I grew up in, that was never talked about. I didn't even know what gay meant until you know, later on, what it really meant. I had girlfriends in high school, but there was never that, you know, that real physical attraction. So I think deep down, knowing that I was different in a small town, you know, kind of played a big role in it. From my parents, you know, when I came out to my mom first, and she was pretty accepting of it.
Good.
She actually kind of blamed herself because she, at that
blamed
point,
herself for you being gay or for you not having the space to be yourself. What do you mean by that?
For being gay. Well, she asked me, she's like, because at that point she had gotten some of her stuff taken care of, and she understood the experience that I had as a kid. And she was regretful for it. And she asked me, she's like, do you think you're gay because of how I treated you as when you were younger? And so she kind of blamed herself. And it's funny that she had asked that, because I was still struggling with why I was the way I was. And, you know, that was a thought that had come up in my head. Maybe if, you know, she hadn't beaten me, if she hadn't, you know, verbally abused me, maybe I'd be normal. But I was able to kind of work through that and understand that, no, I don't really believe that had any influence in it. You know, I'm just kind of wired how I am.
But you are normal.
Yeah. When you
are normal.
Yes. Of course.
You are normal and you are just as significant as anyone.
Absolutely. And when we have that, when we're able to adapt that mentality, when we're able to, you know, work through, you know, our personal issues and come to that understanding, then, I mean, great things can open up. On the gay front, the disappointment came from my dad. You know, I'm the only son. And, you know, when I had the conversation with him, you know, he expressed how disappointed he was. And he was hoping it was just a fad. And, you know, because I was living in LA, you know, everyone in LA is weird to people in the Midwest.
I want to know how it is today with them. What is your relation like today? Is that something that, do they, because, you know, everyone's on their own journey, and your parents, that's their journey, you know, whatever. But how are they today? Are they more loving, or is it more accepting? I mean, have they been able to overcome their stuff around that? And I mean, even just your whole journey, you know, have they been able to like come to peace with who you are and where you are today?
They've made a lot of progress.
Hey, progress.
It is. And, you know, we were never a close-knit family growing up. You know, we didn't hug. we didn't, you know, really show affection at all. And it wasn't until I was in I think my late 20s, maybe early 30s, that my dad hugged me for the first time. I was coming home for a visit, and he hugged me, and I didn't know what to do. I'm like, this is so foreign to me.
Wow.
And now when we talk and text, you know, he ends every conversation with "I love you," which, you know, so they're in their
journey that he's been able to be on too, you know, and to like come full circle and really grow. So you provided that for him. You really helped to open his mind and his heart to a different way of being, you know. And I mean, maybe that was the purpose all along.
Yep. And then you're obviously doing really well now. Can you catch us up on where you are and how you're thriving now in your life?
Absolutely. I have been sober now for nearly 2 years. And this past 2 years, I have experienced more joy and more happiness than I have in my entire life. And, you know, it hasn't always been easy, of course, but I've been able to do a lot of work in personal development and, you know, really figure out more about who I am and what makes me tick, and utilizing the experiences that I've had to benefit me more. And it's quite a remarkable experience to understand, to take a look back and see where I've been and understand the growth that I've been able to accomplish. You know, several years ago, I was so reserved and so put off that I would never do this podcast. But
never say never.
Be an actor. Come on.
Well, I know, but it was always that fear, that fear of rejection that you know, kind of plagued me so much. But in being able to look back and you know, reframe those past traumas and the fears that have plagued my life and actually utilize them to create a self-confident, you know, thriving human being that actually enjoys and loves helping other people. I
fills you up.
I feel blessed would be the.
So my question for you is, if there's someone who finds themselves in a similar situation, you know, they see the pieces falling down around themselves. They are afraid to maybe confront what really is going on and to really look at who they are and to make those difficult choices. What would you say to someone who's kind of either in that really dark place, moving into a deeper, darker place? What advice would you have for them?
My first piece of advice would be to actually acknowledge where you are. You know, being present is not something that comes easily to most people. And in order to really make the change in my life, I first had to strip away that belief that I was okay and really, you know, center myself in understanding where I was at that moment. And figure out whether or not it was congruent with a person that I wanted to be, or that my feeling was actually drawing me, where my feeling was actually believe that I should be. You know, we have this feeling inside. We know when we're not being congruent with who we're meant to be.
Yeah.
And so becoming present and knowing if you're on the right path, it's the absolute first step.
So how would someone find you, Joshua? I mean, how are you helping people? Where do they find you? What exactly do you do for them if they were to locate you?
I'm all over Facebook. I'm in a number of different groups, but my direct Facebook link is Joshua D. Abel, Abel coaching. I am venturing into YouTube, but Facebook is primarily where I'm located. And, I initiate a conversation just with people just to see if, I can relate to them. See if I can form that connection with someone and understand where they're coming from. And if so, then, we'll further that conversation to see if I might be able to benefit their life in some way.
I love that you just said that, because not every person is your person.
Right.
I love that you're saying, if we connect, if I can help, you're being so authentic there. And it's not just another person that you're going to coach.
Yeah.
That makes me want to come and see you even more.
Absolutely. And I think that just shows how awesome and how full circle you've come with, like, really being authentic to who you are, authentic to who you can help. And when people need that authenticity in their life, you're someone who can show up for them and help them to see the things that maybe they're afraid to see, because you've been there before. So that's such a beautiful gift that now you can reframe your past and see that everything that you've been through, you can use that to help other people.
Absolutely.
I want to send you a hug.
Oh, please do.
A really big hug.
When you said your mother never hugged you, I could just, Shelley's heart probably just sank. You have no idea. She hugs complete strangers. She loves hugging people. So I could see you, Shelley, like wanting to just like jump through the screen.
Exactly. And you are so huggable too.
Oh, you ladies are wonderful. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here and for just being so courageous and speaking your truth and sharing that with our audience today. It just really goes to show that when you are authentic and you are able to just step into who you are, beautiful things can happen. So thank you so much for being on our show today and for connecting with us and our audience.
It was
He's found his flow.
He found his flow.
I did.
And if you are looking to find your flow, you can email us. You can find us here weekday mornings. We are at set2love.com. That's the number 2. Or our email is settolovepodcast@gmail.com. Joshua, hang on one second so we can say bye to you. But let's say bye to everyone else out there. Best friend, I love you. Thank you so much. Hope you have a beautiful weekend.
Hit the bell.
Bye, everyone.